some people in the community might say, hey, listen, these young kids committed serious crimes.
Yeah, and they have.
So why should you, Lala Anthony, do anything for them? How do you reconcile with that?
I grew up a certain way, I know how shit goes. You know what I mean? The environment, lack of opportunity, lack of resources, no money. Some of my kids grew up in shelters their whole life, no food, no anything.
It can be a huge help when someone with a platform uses it to talk about criminal justice reform. And that's the case with Lala Anthony. The actor and entrepreneur has spent a lot of time on Rikers Island to prepare young folks for life on the outside. Lala Anthony, I have a million questions to ask you.
I have a lot of questions for you too.
You know, I saw that you have this new initiative on Rikers Island. And for those who don't know, Rikers Island is a jail in New York where it houses people who are awaiting trial. Can you tell us about that initiative?
My program is all about mentorship, leadership skills, self-esteem building, how to turn, a bad situation into a positive one, and also helping the young men that I mentor have opportunities and resources when they are released back into society to make better choices, to get jobs, to get education, and all of that stuff.
Can you kind of paint the picture for someone who don't understand, like, what are you actually doing? What is a session like?
We start with a prayer, which is very, important. We talk about the highs and lows of the week. And from there, a lot of conversation could come. Like someone said they were gonna come visit me and they didn't show up. And we just talk about like the feelings behind that. And then from there, we go into whatever our lesson of the day is, so to speak. So it could be a lesson on forgiveness. We can talk about who's someone in your life that you want to forgive and why is that? Have you ever told this person? Well, here are the steps to real forgiveness. Then we go to rec, we go to the basketball gym and they're able to play basketball. And during that time is when I'm able to kind of have more one-on-one sessions with each one of them and just check in with where they're at. And also a big part of what I'm doing is making sure they understand their case and making sure their lawyers are on point. I become like a liaison between, the lawyer and the client. And we work together on the case. We work together on speaking to the judge, the DA, whatever it is. It's a partnership. Nobody can do this alone. It's a lot of work.
Some people in the community might say, hey, listen, these young kids committed serious crimes.
Yeah, and they have.
So why should you, Lala Anthony, do anything for them? How do you reconcile with that?
I grew up a certain way, I know how shit goes. You know what I mean? The environment, lack of opportunity, lack of resources, no money. Some of my kids grew up in shelters their whole life, no food, no anything. What are they supposed to do? Not making an excuse, but now you provide them with a different way. You provide them with opportunities they never had before, and people can change and want to do better. We're all products of our environment, no matter what. Now, some of us took our environment and made it out and made something great, and some of us weren't able to do that. So I'm not a person that just throws people away. Like, I'm a person that gives people second chances with the right tools and resources to make better decisions. Every kid's not going to come out and do amazing things. That's part of it. But if I can change one, I feel like I did something. I feel like I made a difference.
There are a lot of women who have high profile status, such as yourself, who are delving into the criminal justice field. And I'm wondering why. Is it,
right.
Can you answer that?
Unfortunately, as a Black person growing up in America, prison incarceration is something we're all too familiar with. Like, I hate that it's like that. I hate that we all have experienced family members or friends that have been incarcerated and had to go through certain journeys with them at different times and see the struggles and things. So I would see stuff, but I would be like, what can I do about it? Like, I'm just one person, I'm not gonna be, and then finally I was like, no, there's a lot you can do about it. Awareness, things like this is doing something about it, speaking about it. So I started just taking more of an active role and wanting to make a change from having friends and family and people I love go through the system and tell me things that were so messed up about it, things that need to be fixed, things that people aren't paying attention to.
So what do you talk about with your friends when you discuss this kind of work?
Well, I mean, one of my best friends is Kim Kardashian, who is incredible in prison reform and everything that, she's doing. So I talk to her a lot. And I guess what I ask her the most is like, how do I not take it home with me in a sense where I become so consumed with it? I have 10 to 13 young men in the program, I know each one of their life stories. I know their case. I know their lawyer. I know the time they're fighting. I know when they're going upstate. I know where they're at. It's like it becomes your whole entire life. And when I sit in a courtroom and one of the young men gets sentenced and I'm sitting there and his mom breaks down and she's asking me like, you know, is there anything you can do, Lala? Please help. Please change this. It's like, it just consumes you. So I always ask Kim, like, how do you kind of not let it just take over to where that's all you're thinking about all day and you become like crazy about it? Because, you know, I want to preserve my mental health as well and my sanity, because that's the only way I can be great to help more people.
When you get back to acting, like, what happens to the kids then? Like, how do you scale? How do you replicate what you're doing?
You know, I'm a big believer of, you know, we make time for what's important to us. Like, it's a huge part of my life now. It's not something that I'm just doing for the time being. So it has to now be worked into my schedule to where I could still be there in some capacity. Because what I'm doing, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of patience. I just got to find ways to still be able to be, you know, back and forth.
Okay. So what's next for Lala Anthony?
I just want to continue to, you know, dig in and do the best I can and hopefully be able to duplicate it in other places and definitely with the female population and just continue to put my heart and soul into it.